So construction prices, obviously we've been hearing all about how they've kind of let loose. What are we looking at for 2024? Have you got a view? If so, what's the view?
We've seen construction price growth, mate, in the last 3 years of between 25 and 30%, which is a big number. But we see the continued price increase rate of growth slowing, which is a good thing. Labour's a big part of it at the moment with the trying to get trades. And then build programs are the thing that are under pressure now. Everything's taking much longer. Subcontractors can't get the labour, can't get the skilled trades. Everything is taking 15 to 20% longer. Something that should take 15 months to get built is taking 18 plus. So that's the big thing for us. Prices won't come back, Mike, but they're not growing as quickly as they were.
Yeah, I think obviously both Abadeen and Mirvac share the fact that prolific developers, you got heaps of stuff on the go. When you're kind of looking forward to this year, what are the types of areas and I think I'm asked the sales and marketing guys, so I'm also curious to know what you guys think in terms of what are the type of areas that you're most interested in or also looking to avoid?
Aberdeen's only looking east and southeast, school belt, maybe middle ring, high-end occupier product. That's basically what we're looking for. We think that's the safest market to invest in. It's the market where you can charge a premium on quality product to overcome the cost escalation. As Steve said earlier, you've got to buy really good quality sites. You've got to deliver outstanding product. And for that, you can charge the premium to overcome what's happened in the construction market.
And so for you, Andrew, with Abadeen, obviously, you guys have got a mix of different types of sites. Do you think the types of sites you're going to focus on are more having lots of sites with fewer number of higher price stock, for example, the 4 to 15, or is it going to be more the 15 to 50, say, for example, and why?
Mike, we think there's an opportunity for both medium density and low density high-end owner-occupier. We're looking at projects with 80 to 100 units in it in the east and southeast that have a mixture of investor and occupier product. We think there's a really good opportunity to get, I'll say it's a boutique medium density project, 100 and under, where investors will want to be in that location, but also it's an affordable entry point into a high-end location. So it's 100, 110, 120 square metre, 3-bedroom. It's not 220, 250, 300. And it's targeted at a younger owner-occupier that wants to get into an expensive suburb. So we're definitely looking at those projects. We've seen already that the channel agents are desperate for stock. That they understand product will get delivered in 2 years' time in a low interest rate environment with soaring rents because there's been no investor stock available built in the last 4 years, really. And so there's huge demand for well-located, affordable living. And rents have grown substantially. So there's a really good time now. The fundamentals are great to do those kind of projects. So we're definitely looking at them. But also the occupier, the need to downside is real for these people. Their knees are shot. They don't want the pool. They don't entertain the formal dining room. They don't want the garden. They want a holiday in warmer climates than Melbourne. Sad to think we've got 2 weeks to go and then summer's finished already. We haven't even had a summer. So people are leaving Melbourne in winter. They're going overseas. They've got the money. They want lock and leave. They will spend large chunks of time outside of Melbourne. And so that high-end downsizer stock will be a focus for us too.
One of the things that I kind of think about is looking at the profile of the next wave of apartments coming through. I heard what Stephen's saying in relation to it's going to be in part at least price point driven as far as the kind of 65 square metre 2-bedroom example. On the flip side, we've kind of in Australia in our capital cities as a ratio of apartments to the housing, less people live in apartments relative to Tokyo, San Francisco, other major kind of metropolitan cities. And so obviously those people have got to come from somewhere in terms of they're going to move from probably a house into an apartment, which kind of has the inverse effect in the sense that it's more likely in some ways these guys are going to want bigger apartments. So how do you see the kind of trade-off between making sure product makes sense at the 65 square metre example at one end of the thing, while also catering to kind of not give people the shock of moving as we kind of increasingly live urban areas and apartment living in general?
It's a long question, but the answer, I reckon, is
Inspired by Mark.
Downsizers now want bigger product than developers have ever built before. And so the move is towards house-sized apartments, definitely. They've got the money. They're ready to live in a large space, and they'll only buy an apartment if it meets their demands on size. So I think you get one end of the market, Mike, that's demanding bigger than ever before.
How big's that?
200 plus. Yep, with 2 living areas, Mark, at least 3 bedrooms. And then you're looking at affordable places for the skilled migrants. So we don't have bus drivers in the next 10 years. Anyone that was at the Property Council lunch, basically no one is growing up wanting to be a bus driver. There's like 35% of the whole bus driving workforce, that 55 plus heading to retirement, those jobs won't be replaced. All heavy earth moving equipment, crane operators, everyone's becoming 60. They're heading towards retirement. We need to, and healthcare workers and aged care workers, we need in the next 10 years 100% more people than we already have working in that industry. They're not going to come from our kids. Our kids aren't going to work in those industries. They have to be imported, those workers. So we'll be big migration policy for a very long time. And those people come from Asian countries, they understand apartment living, they want to be close to the key places of work, and so those apartments will continue to be small.
I thought actually what Mark said afterwards, we were chatting, and he said that, like, of all the things that he said, of which he did say many things, the main thing that he said that he hoped that people took out of that is actually, and I hope you don't mind me sharing this, is that basically the main opportunity for developers right now is to focus on doing deals with terms. So having longer terms, because we know people are having issues, that's kind of the one thing that he said, that if he said anything of use, which I think he said many things of use, but in particular that I think was on point. And so I thought I'd just reshare that because I think you're right. And so I guess that kind of also kind of flows on to the next question, which is really around, have you seen changes in the asking prices of sites? And how has that changed over the last 12 months, for example? And how do you think that's going to change over the next 12?
The start of this year, Mike, there's definitely been better opportunities. I think more vendors are bringing to market their sites than in the last quarter of last year, when there just seemed to be a real awareness that it was a bad time to be selling development sites in the last quarter of last year. I think vendors are more optimistic. I think the outlook on rates is better. I think they see the energy and the activity that residential developers now hunting for sites. Mark mentioned 2 big deals that happened recently. I think generally everybody is getting positioned to bring sites or projects to market next year and in the years that follow. So it is a good time to be in the market looking for sites. I think there's some reasonable opportunities. Nothing's cheap at the moment. I don't think values have come back at all. But definitely terms are being discussed. I think there's an opportunity to buy on really good terms. But no, prices have not come back. I don't see that changing.
We've spoken, I think I kind of already know the answer to this question, but it's hard to make developments in general stack at the moment. The ones that you are looking at that kind of do pique your interest when you're kind of taking a closer look, what are the types of things that you're looking for in those sites, and what are there commonalities between the ones that are stacking up versus the ones that aren't?
Sales programs, Mike, have changed. So we're looking at, instead of selling developments 100% off the plan, going into construction and settling everything day one when we get the CFO and compliance and move in. It's having an understanding that owner-occupier product will continue to grow in value over the next 4 years. And if you buy a site with terms and you need planning, and that's 12 months, it's 12 months of selling, it's 2 years of building. So if a development has a 4-year time horizon, we're looking at 5. Finish the development and still have stock that's unsold in the project, but possibly that will sell in that 5th year post-completion when people can walk in, touch, feel and see it at much higher rates than today. So I think that is one way that we're looking at sites, which is quite different to how we used to look at it. So it is an element of revenue escalation over the life of the project. That is definitely something that's changed for us.
This is the last question. Have a think about it. If anyone has any questions out there, I'm backing on you, Mark. I reckon you've got one up your sleeves somewhere. Who do you think are the top best developers right now in Australia, and why do you think they're some of the best?
Got a 2-part answer. In Sydney, it's clearly Justin and Abadeen Group, who are literally the kings of the North Shore. So what I like about that is that they've focused in on a market that they understand, like the back of their hand, that live there in their community. They develop in their community. They get record pricing. They understand and unlock the best opportunities. So just kudos to you. And Luke from Orchard Piper would be my preference from a Melbourne point of view for doing high-end quality products. Here he is over here, because he's humble as well, and I think he gets quality pricing. The Chirac Village sales recently, because he buys quality sites and he does really good work, so credit to Luke.
There's added Ben Mackay as well from
Ben, sorry,
and joining the team as well, so they've got a hell of a team. Does anyone have any questions I'd like to throw out? Well, on that note, that wraps up the final panel. Join me in giving a round of applause to these guys. Thank you guys so much for coming. As I said at the start, we were kind of unsure. We're going to put on our first event. How's it going to go? we feel like it's gone pretty well. Appreciate everyone coming and the speakers. So thanks so much and really enjoyed it.